Stop. Don't spend that Jefferson nickel just yet. Hidden among ordinary Monticello Thomas Jefferson Nickels could be an incredibly rare coin worth a life-changing fortune. Some dates, mint marks, and rare errors can make these nickels extremely valuable. And one of them could potentially turn pocket change into a millionaire's dream. In today's video, we'll reveal exactly what to look for. So check your coins because you might be holding a fortune. Imagine, for a moment, you are standing in line at a coffee shop. You reach into your pocket, pulling out a handful of change to pay for your morning brew. You see the usual suspects, a few dull pennies, a dime, and a single 1988 Jefferson nickel. You glance at it, this unassuming piece of copper and nickel, and you see the face of Thomas Jefferson. You see the P mint mark, the image of Monticello on the back. In that fleeting moment, you have a choice. You are at a crossroads, a junction that separates the spender from the collector. The spender sees it as 5 cents, a tool to be traded for caffeine, a trivial piece of metal destined for the commercial abyss. The collector sees a potential ghost, a sleeper agent in the world of numismatics, a coin that could be hiding a fortune worth $823,000. Stop right now. Seriously, pause this video for just a second. Go and look at the change in your pocket, the jar on your nightstand, or the cup holder in your car. Look at the date. Look at the P. Look at the steps on Monticello. What do you see? Because if you have a 1988 P. Jefferson nickel in your possession, you are holding one of the most counterintuitive paradoxes in modern coin collecting. Over 771 million of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. They are literally everywhere. They are the definition of pocket change. Yet, within this sea of mass production, a tiny number of these nickels possess a secret that has driven the numismatic market into a frenzy of fear and excitement. There's an old saying in coin collecting, find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck. But we're not talking about pennies. We're talking about nickels that look exactly like the one you might have just spent yesterday, but are so rare, so technically perfect, or so flawlessly flawed that their value defies all logic. The fear you should be feeling right now is the fear of missing out, the terrifying thought that you might have already spent a coin worth a fortune. The excitement is the realization that the treasure hunt doesn't require a map or a ship. It requires only your eyes and your willingness to look closely at what you already own. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel is a ghost in the machine, and we're about to find out why. To understand the incredible potential of the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel, we must first understand its history and the specific alchemy that makes a common coin a rare treasure. The design is a classic piece of Americana. In 1938, the Mint held a contest to find a new design for the nickel, replacing the iconic Buffalo nickel. A sculptor named Felix Schlag won the $1,000 prize with his portrait of Thomas Jefferson and a rendering of the third president's Virginia home, Monticello. His initials, FS, were added to the obverse in 1966, a small detail that would later become a point of interest for collectors. The year 1988 was a boom year for nickels. The Philadelphia Mint produced a staggering 771,360,000 of them, meaning they were churned out by the millions to fuel commerce across the nation. The P mint mark was firmly in place, signifying its origin in Philadelphia. Because the mintage was so high, the base value of circulated 1988 P nickel is, and will likely remain, exactly 5 cents. It is one of the most common coins in American history. But this is where the ordinary ends and the extraordinary begins. This is the confrontation. This is where we dig into the technical details that separate a 5-cent piece from a 5-figure payday. There are 3 distinct ghost paths that a 1988 P nickel can take to achieve legendary status. The first path is perfection. While most coins are struck quickly and carelessly for mass circulation, a select few are struck perfectly. The coin looks flawless, but the devil is in the details of the reverse. On the back of the coin is an image of Monticello, including the front steps. For a coin to be considered a full step or FS variety, the steps on Monticello must be completely visible and distinct. This is incredibly difficult to achieve due to the way the dies wear down. A 1988 P nickel that manages to achieve a perfect strike and is graded at the near-perfect level of MS67 is a rare bird. These are the coins that climb the registry sets and command serious premiums. It is the pursuit of perfection that drives the top-tier collector. But the second path, the one that ignites the imagination of every treasure hunter, is the path of the error. This is the path of the ghost, the anomaly that should not exist. Imagine the minting process as a high-speed sandwich press. The blank planchet is the bread, and the obverse and reverse dies are the clamps. Sometimes things go catastrophically wrong. One of the most valuable types of error is the struck through die cap. In this scenario, a previously struck coin gets stuck to the obverse die. As the die slams into blank after blank, the stuck coin, now acting as a cap, smears and flattens, leaving a ghostly, distorted impression of Jefferson's head on the new coins. This creates a ghost image that is a hallmark of a cap die strike. These are not common and instantly transform a coin from mundane to magnificent. Then there is the die subsidence error, where a flaw in the die steel causes a portion of the die face to sink in or collapse. Mike Diamond, a renowned error coin expert, described a 1988 P nickel that exhibited a large lump on top of Jefferson's head, a classic sign of die subsidence. This wasn't a one-off. Two different dies in the same year produced similar lumps, suggesting a widespread problem in the die steel at the Philadelphia Mint that year. This is technical proof of a hidden ghost. There is a third path, one that sees a coin achieve a nearly perfect grade of MS67, and then that coin gains a premium for its full steps. In a market where most 1988 P nickels are worthless, a gem-quality full-step specimen with a grade of MS67 can bring in substantial money. A recent piece of market data from 2026 illustrates this perfectly. A simple-looking 1988 P Jefferson nickel was submitted to Great Collections auctions. It was a business strike from the Philadelphia Mint, graded PCGS MS67FS, and it brought in $3,450. That is an increase of nearly 70,000% over its face value. But this is where the narrative of the 823K comes into play. While number 1988 P nickel has officially sold for that astronomical sum, the market is dynamic. A nearly perfect MS67FS sold for $3,450, proving the extreme valuation of these ghost coins. So, what does this all mean for you, the 30 to 65-year-old American holding a jar of pocket change? The resolution is a call to arms. The market is hot, and the urgency is real. As one pricing guide notes, the 1988 P Jefferson nickel has seen a massive surge in interest recently. Collectors are hunting for the ghost, the error, and the perfect strike. The difference between a coin being worth a standard 5 cents and a coin being worth thousands of dollars can come down to a single, isolated event at the Mint over 35 years ago. A user on the NGC Coin Collectors Forum recently posted a question about a 1988 P nickel where the mint mark was tilted. His hope was that he had struck gold with a mint error. The forum responded with a blend of education and reality. They noted that before the early 1990s, mint marks were punched into dies by hand, so slight tilts and variations are common and hold no premium. They explained the difference between a mint error and a die variety. A tilted mint mark is a variety, not an error. They also noted that these coins are too common and that the cost of grading would exceed the value of a circulated specimen. They even mentioned that the line on Jefferson's chin was likely post-mint damage, not a lamination error. This is where your knowledge becomes power. You must know the difference between a common tilted mint mark and a rare die subsidence. You must know the difference between post-mint damage and a genuine struck through error. You must know what a full step looks like. The information is out there, and it is authoritative. Experts in the field, like those on the Collectors Universe forums, note that errors like the struck through late-stage die cap are rare and significant. Dealers have been known to offer $100 or more for such errors raw, but encourage slabbing to authenticate and describe the error. This is your cliffhanger. The 1988 P nickel is just the beginning. It is the gateway drug to a world of hidden wealth, lurking in your spare change. The thrill of the hunt, the what-if moment, the rush of pulling a coin from your pocket and realizing it's a ghost. That is what drives this market. So, the next time you see a 1988 P. Jefferson nickel, do not spend it. Stop. Look. Hold it under a bright light. Examine the steps on Monticello. Look for lumps, ghost images, or anything that seems out of place. You might just be holding the key to a payday that could change your life. And if you think the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel is a ghost, just wait until you hear about the 1969 South Doubleday Lincoln Center. That story is even more incredible. Imagine for a moment that you're holding a 5-cent piece in your hand. It is worn, perhaps a bit dull, the kind of coin you would not think twice about tossing into a jar or using to pay for a piece of gum. It has no silver sheen, no gold luster, just the quiet, unassuming face of Thomas Jefferson staring back at you. Now consider this. What if that humble piece of pocket change, the very coin you are about to dismiss as worthless, is actually a ghost in the numismatic system, a spectral artifact worth more than a brand new luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, maybe even more than $764,000. Today, we are going on a treasure hunt. We are diving deep into the world of the 1974 no-mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel, specifically the one error that sends shivers down the spines of collectors and makes auctioneers weak in the knees. You are about to learn why the change in your pocket could be the key to unlocking a level of wealth you have only ever dreamed of. This is the story of the spender versus the collector, the tale of the coin that everyone has held but almost no one has truly seen. You have likely spent hundreds, maybe thousands of these nickels in your lifetime, oblivious to the fortune that may have passed through your fingers. This is the ultimate fear of missing out. While millions of 1974 nickels were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, churned out by the billions to feed the voracious appetite of American commerce, a tiny fraction of them are not what they seem. They are like wolves in sheep's clothing, masquerading as ordinary currency while hiding a secret that could change your life forever. The official mintage numbers are staggering. In 1974, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million of these 5-cent pieces, a massive output that makes the common 1974 nickel one of the most available coins in American history, worth only its face value or a few cents in worn condition. This is the reality for the vast majority of these coins. They are the background noise of numismatics, the baseline against which true rarity is measured. But this is where the story takes a sharp turn into the extraordinary. Within that sea of billions, a handful of aberrations exist, coins that were never meant to leave the mint. These are the so-called mint errors, and it is here, in the realm of manufacturing mistakes, that the 1974 nickel transcends its humble origins and enters the realm of legend. The most valuable and sought-after error is the one that demands we look closer, much closer, at the coin's surface. We're talking about the 1974 Jefferson nickel that was struck over a 1973 Jefferson nickel. Imagine the scene at the Philadelphia Mint. The massive presses are stamping out coins at lightning speed. For an error like this to occur, a previously struck 1973 nickel had to have been caught in the hopper and fed back into the press as a planchet, only to be struck again with the 1974 dies. The result is a coin with a ghostly underimage, a faint but discernible presence of the previous year's design and date lurking beneath the new one. This is not a simple double strike on a blank planchet. This is an overstrike on a fully formed, already minted coin, a numismatic palimpsest where history is literally written over history. This specific error was featured in the prestigious book 100 Greatest U.S. Error Coins, where it was listed at number 99. As of 2010, the authors valued this unique mint error at $15,000 to $17,000, a staggering sum for a 5-cent coin. While this is an astronomical value for a coin that should be worth a nickel, it is just the beginning of the story, a prelude to an even more fantastic possibility. We must also consider the potential for other dramatic errors, such as the double denomination errors where a 1974 nickel was struck on a cent planchet. These coins, with their mismatched metal and design, are also highly prized, with some examples selling for over $5,000. However, The true holy grail, the coin that fuels the fantasies of collectors everywhere. And the reason you're watching this video is the prospect of a 1974 nickel with an error that catapults its value into the stratosphere. It is the whisper of a coin so rare, so singular, that its market value is not just high, but potentially life-altering. Here, we must separate verifiable fact from tantalizing possibility. The widely publicized figure of $764,000 is not a confirmed sale price, but rather a theoretical market value applied to the apex of rarity and perfection. A coin that is not only in error, but in flawless, mint state condition, certified by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC, and possessing a unique or exceptionally dramatic error could, in theory, command a price in that range. This value is derived from the confluence of several factors. The coin's extreme rarity, its historical uniqueness, the high demand from specialized error collectors, and the premium placed on coins in the highest state of preservation. For a coin to approach such a valuation, it would likely need to be the finest known example of a major error. Think of a struck on a wrong planchet error where a nickel was struck on a dime, or a massive off-center strike that captures the imagination of the collecting world. While a standard high-grade 1974 no-mint mark nickel might fetch $74 in MS66 condition, error specimens break the mold entirely. Let us examine the anatomy of the 1974 nickel to understand why these errors are so profound. The obverse, the head side, features the iconic left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. The reverse, or tails, depicts Jefferson's beloved Virginia home, Monticello. The coin is composed of standard cupro nickel-clad composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. The absence of a mint mark is the defining characteristic of the Philadelphia issue, a silent testament to its origin. It is precisely this uniformity, this adherence to a standard, that makes any deviation so captivating and valuable. An error is a breach of protocol, a moment where the machine stumbled and created something utterly unique. The thrill of the hunt is not just for a rare coin, but for a tangible piece of history, a mistake frozen in metal. Now, imagine the adrenaline rush of finding such a coin. It is a scenario that has played out in the minds of millions. Perhaps you are sorting through a jar of change you have not looked at in decades, or you are examining a roll of nickels from the bank. You see the date, 1974. You look for a mint mark and see none. Your heart skips a beat. Could this be it? Could this be the one that defies the odds? The market for these coins is as hot as it has ever been, driven by a new generation of collectors and investors who are drawn to the idea of hidden wealth. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Great Collections regularly showcase error coins, and the prices they command are a testament to the enduring power of rarity. In the current market, a dramatic error on a 1974 nickel could easily command thousands of dollars. The potential for a 5-cent investment to yield a 6-figure return is a powerful narrative, one that has captivated the public imagination. But let us bring you back to the here and now. We need to have a moment of pattern interrupt. Right now, I want you to stop everything you are doing. Look around your home. Find a jar of change. Check the cup holder in your car, or look in the bottom of your purse or backpack. Pull out any nickel you see. Look at the date. Is it 1974? Is there a mint mark? No mint mark means it is from Philadelphia. Now look closer. Do you see any anomalies? Does the design look misaligned? Is there a second, ghostly image? Are there any weird clips or indentations on the edge? You are holding a potential diamond in the rough. If you find something suspicious, do not clean it. Do not rub it with anything. Cleaning a coin is the single fastest way to destroy its numismatic value. Instead, you need to consult a professional. Send it in for authentication and grading to a reputable service. The difference between a coin worth thousands and a coin worth nothing can hinge on its state of preservation and its certification. Consider this. Your regular, run-of-the-mill 1974 nickel is worth maybe 30 cents. It is a common relic, a nice addition to a beginner's collection, but nothing to write home about. But the overstruck error, the double strike, the off-center strike, these are the coins that make history. They're the ones that sit behind glass at coin shows, drawing crowds of admirers. They're the ones that inspire headlines and captivate the imagination. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel proves that fortune does not always favor the bold. Sometimes it favors the observant. It is a reminder that true wealth is often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge to see it and the courage to act. The key is to stop being a spender and start being a collector, even if just for a moment, to look at your pocket change not as currency, but as potential history. And here is the final kicker, the part that should truly set your pulse racing. The majority of these ultra-rare errors are not found in the hands of dealers who have hoarded them for decades. Many, if not most, were discovered by ordinary people just like you. Someone who found a strange-looking coin in their pocket change, held on to it out of curiosity, and then had the foresight to have it appraised. They turn a 5-cent piece into a nest egg. The market is currently experiencing a surge in demand for these unique mint errors. Collectors are paying a premium for coins with a clear provenance and a story to tell. The market trends are clear. Rarity, coupled with a compelling narrative, is a recipe for skyrocketing value. As we wrap up this deep dive, let me leave you with a final, tantalizing cliffhanger. While the 1974 nickel is an incredible piece of numismatic intrigue, it is just one of many coins that could be hiding in your change. There are other ultra-rare coins from the 1960s, 70s, and beyond that are worth astronomical sums. In our next episode, we are going to explore the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar, specifically the one that was struck over a 1978 Jefferson nickel, a coin that sold for over $15,000. We will uncover the secrets of double denominations and the extraordinary value they command. We will show you exactly what to look for, ensuring you never, ever overlook a potential gold mine again. You're holding a piece of American history in your hand, but you have absolutely no idea what it is. It has been sitting in that old coffee can on top of your refrigerator or buried deep in a dusty shoebox in the back of your closet for decades. You have walked past it 1,000 times, ignoring it, dismissing it as pocket change, as something worthless. But what if I told you that the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune is simply a matter of knowing what to look for? What if I told you that one specific nickel, a coin that looks almost identical to the one you just used to buy a cup of coffee, recently sent shockwaves through the numismatic world? This is the story of the 1981 P. Monticello Jefferson Nickel, a coin that has transcended its 5-cent face value to become one of the most sought-after ghosts in the collecting market. Prepare to discover why this specific piece of metal is valued up to a staggering $693,000. This could be the reality check that makes you dig through your loose change forever. Are you a spender, or are you a collector? The choices you make today could define your financial future. You have just heard about a coin that could be worth enough to pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, or secure your family's legacy. Now, let's talk about the specifics. Why is the 1981 P nickel so special? On the surface, it looks like any other nickel. It bears the iconic profile of Thomas Jefferson, our third president, on the obverse, and the stunning depiction of his famous plantation home, Monticello, on the reverse. The P mint mark, signifying it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is a common sight for modern coins. Over 364 million of these nickels were produced in 1981, making them anything but rare in their standard form. So, what transforms a common coin into a $693,000 treasure? The answer lies in a catastrophic error at the mint, a mistake so profound it created a chimera, a coin that was never supposed to exist. We're talking about an error known as the wrong planchet strike. Imagine a bustling mint in 1981 with massive rolls of metal being fed into high-speed presses to create coins. The planchets, which are the blank metal discs that get stamped into coins, are supposed to be perfectly uniform. But mistakes happen. A small percentage of the planchets used for 1981 pennies are accidentally mixed into the machinery meant for nickels. The penny planchet is thinner and lighter, weighing 3.11 grams instead of the nickel's standard 5 grams. This tiny, lightweight piece of metal is then fed into the nickel press. The dies, the heavy steel stamps bearing the nickel design, slam down with incredible force. But they're designed for a thicker, larger piece of metal. The result is an abomination in the eyes of the mint, but a masterpiece for collectors. The strike is weak, the details appear mushy, and the edges are often wrong. This is the so-called ghost nickel, a coin struck on the wrong planchet that, by some miracle, escaped the quality control inspectors. But that is not the only monster lurking in the mint. Some of the most valuable error coins are off-center strikes, where the planchet is misaligned, resulting in a design that is dramatically shifted. Sometimes the coin might be struck twice, creating a distinct double strike where letters and images overlap in a surreal way. There are also instances of double dies, where the die itself is flawed, creating a shadow-like duplication of the text on Monticello, such as 5 cents or Monticello itself. If the mint mark is a D stamped over an S, or the steps of Monticello are razor-sharp, you might be holding a fortune. You see, the standard 1981 P nickel is worth, at most, a few cents to a few dollars. But these specific errors, recognized and authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS, transform them into something else entirely. They become the ghost in the market because of their extreme rarity. Most were destroyed before leaving the mint. The ones that got out are the holy grails for hunters like you. Now, you are sitting on the edge of your seat, your heart pounding with the thrill of the hunt. You're probably thinking about that jar of change in your kitchen right now. That brings us to the third act, the resolution. This is where we reveal the fiery potential of this treasure and why you must act now. The market for these error coins is not just warm, it is red hot. The appetite for high-grade mint errors has surged as collectors increasingly see them as the last frontier of affordable, yet astronomically valuable, American numismatics. Let's put a number on it. We mentioned a potential value of $693,000, but let me be clear. That represents the absolute pinnacle, the theoretical six-figure sum for a coin that is both the perfect error and in immaculate, museum-quality condition. But you don't need to find that $693,000 unicorn to change your life. Let's talk reality. A high-grade 1981 P nickel struck on a cent planchet, like the famous PCGS MS-63 example, has already commanded incredible prices at auction, proving that this isn't just a fantasy, it's a tangible market. Even a moderately graded example can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. The 1981 nickel series includes documented auction records for coins like the 1981 P5C Jefferson Nickels struck on a struck 1C, showcasing that the market is actively trading these valuable pieces. Are you feeling the urgency yet? Because while you're watching this video, that coin in your pocket is either just a nickel or is a piece of history worth more than the car you drive. The numismatic market trends show that values for rare mint errors remain robust, driven by passionate collectors willing to pay a premium for quality and authenticity. But beware, you cannot just grab any coin with a scratch on it and assume it is a fortune. The market is filled with fakes, and amateur attempts to identify errors often lead to heartbreak. If you find a coin that looks promising, your first priority is to protect it. Do not clean it. You could wipe away thousands of dollars. Next, you must get it professionally authenticated. Companies like PCGS and NGC are the gatekeepers of value. A coin graded MS-66 or higher with full steps on the Monticello can skyrocket in value. This is the moment where you go from a casual observer to a serious player. This is your call to action. Stop scrolling. Go to that jar. Check that coin purse. Search that old drawer. Look for 1981 P nickel. Examine the weight. Does it feel too light? Look at the edges. Are they wrong? Inspect the steps of Monticello under a magnifying glass. Are they sharp? Look for doubling on the letters. This isn't just about coins. It is about seeing hidden value where others see nothing. It's about the fear of losing a fortune that was sitting right under your nose, and the excitement of discovering a treasure that could redefine your future. The ghost of the 1981 P nickel is out there. It might be in your possession. Do you have the knowledge and the nerve to find it? Imagine this. You're standing in line at a coffee shop, waiting to pay for your morning brew. You reach into your pocket and pull out a few crumpled dollar bills, your keys, and a single unassuming 5-cent coin. It's just a nickel, right? A piece of pocket change destined to be lost in a parking lot, tossed into a tip jar, or left in a drawer for the next decade. Now, imagine that instead of handing that nickel to the cashier, you looked at it a little more closely. Because you, my friend, might be holding the key to a life-changing fortune. Today, we are diving deep into the world of high-stakes numismatics to uncover the secret of the 1987 P. Jefferson nickel. We're talking about a coin that could be worth up to $922,000. That's not a typo. A tiny piece of metal, barely bigger than a quarter, that could be worth nearly $1 million. This is the story of how a common coin can become an extraordinary treasure and why the change in your pocket is a lot more valuable than you think. Welcome to the hunt for the 1987 P nickel. Let's begin. Act 1. The Hook. It is a tale as old as money itself, the eternal battle between the spender and the collector. The spender sees a 5-cent coin and thinks, I could use a gumball. The collector sees a 5-cent coin and thinks, I need to check this for a double die reverse, a full step designation, or perhaps a dramatic off-center strike. The spender treats money as a tool for immediate gratification. The collector, on the other hand, treats money as a vessel of history, a canvas of artistry, and a potential investment. When that 1987 P nickel passes through your hands, are you a spender or a collector? Are you the person who tosses it aside? Or are you the person who spots the golden ticket? Fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a powerful emotion, and in the world of coin collecting, it is the engine that drives the market. When you realize that a coin you might have spent without a second thought could be worth a fortune, that is when the hunt begins. Right now, in a jar in your dresser or a forgotten bag in your closet, there could be a 1987 P. Jefferson nickel. And if it has the right characteristics, it could be the most important coin you have ever found. This is not a fantasy. This is the reality of the modern coin market, where the line between pocket change and a down payment on a house is a single, subtle minting error. It's time to stop spending and start inspecting. But what makes a coin go from 5 cents to a 5, 6, or even 7-figure sum? What are the specific characteristics that transform this common piece of currency into a numismatic ghost, a coin that is barely ever seen on the market? Let's move to Act 2. It's time to get technical. We need to talk about errors, history, and the sheer, breathtaking rarity of the 1987 P. The standard 1987 P. Jefferson nickel is not rare. In fact, it is one of the most common nickels in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 371 million of them. That's a staggering number. As one source puts it, examples in circulated grades up to about MS-66 condition are very common. You can find 1, 10, or 1,000 of them with relative ease. So, why are we talking about this specific coin? Because the value does not lie in the coin itself. It lies in the anomalies. It lies in the specific, mint-made errors that turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. When you look at a coin, you're not just looking at metal. You're looking at a snapshot of a moment in history. You're looking at the product of a massive industrial process. And in that process, things go wrong. In the case of the 1987 P, the most sought-after errors are what make the coin worth the big money. The condition of the coin is everything. The grade is the first major factor. The difference between a coin that is almost uncirculated and a mint-state coin is astronomical. A circulated 1987 P nickel, one that has seen the inside of a pocket or a cash register, is virtually worthless. It is worth 5 cents. Even in high-circulated grades, like very fine or extremely fine, it is still just a nickel. The magic happens when a coin is preserved. When a coin rolls out of the mint and is immediately placed into a protective collection, it remains in what is known as mint state, and that is where the value begins to climb. But even an uncirculated coin is not enough to make you a millionaire. You need the full steps designation. This is where the Jefferson Nickels series becomes a true collector's treasure. On the reverse of the coin, on the base of Monticello, there are 6 architectural steps. On most 1987 P nickels, these steps are weak, indistinct, or partially missing due to the wear and tear of striking. But on some rare coins, the steps are sharp, complete, and fully separated. This is known as the full steps designation, specifically 5FS for 5 full steps, or the ultra-desirable 6FS for 6 full steps. This designation is given by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, and it can multiply a coin's value many times over. The 1987 P with 6 full steps is one of the earliest of such mintages to grade at MS 68FS. A coin with a full steps designation in an uncirculated grade is a genuine rarity. Some examples have sold for nearly $2,000 in MS 68 condition. But this is still a far cry from a $900,000 figure we mentioned at the start. So, how do we get to that level? How do we bridge the gap from a few $1,000s to a life-changing fortune? The answer lies in the specific, catastrophic errors. We are talking about the coins that should never have existed, the ones that slip past quality control and into the hands of the public, waiting to be discovered years later. First, there is the wrong planchet error. Imagine a 1987 P nickel that was accidentally struck on a blank mint for a dime or a penny. The size, the weight, and the metal composition would be completely wrong. It would be an anomaly, a coin that is a historical artifact of a minting mistake. These errors are genuinely rare. Approximately 10 examples are known for this date, making it genuinely rare. The most valuable 1987 wrong planchet error, struck on clad stock, sold for nearly $2,000 at a 2010 auction. Then, there are the double die errors. The double die reverse, or DDR, is a common variety that collectors seek. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image, usually on the lettering. On a 1987 nickel, look for doubling on the words Monticello, 5 cents, and E pluribus unum. These coins can fetch values from $10 to $75, depending on the boldness of the doubling and the grade. A nice find, but still not the jackpot. Then, there are the die breaks and cuts. As a die is used to strike thousands of coins, it begins to wear down. Sometimes, it can crack or break. When a piece of the die breaks off, a cud appears on the coin. It is a raised, blob-like area of metal. Larger cuds, particularly those affecting Jefferson's portrait or the central design, can be worth a significant premium of $25 to $100 or more. Some dramatic cuds, such as those listed in specialized references, are considered very interesting pieces that show the life of the die. But again, we are in the hundreds, not the hundreds of thousands. So, where does the $922,000 figure come from? It is the theoretical ceiling. It represents the absolute confluence of all the right conditions. A coin that is in perfect, pristine condition, with a perfect strike, bearing a highly visible and dramatic error, and being sold at the height of a collector frenzy. The $922,000 figure is a speculation, a headline-grabbing number that represents the maximum potential value of a never-before-seen, perfect combination of errors and condition. It is the legendary ghost coin, the one that is so rare it might not even exist. However, the search for it is what drives the market. The potential is real, and that is what makes this coin so exciting. The 1987 P nickel is a ghost because while millions exist, a coin with the perfect storm of characteristics is virtually unheard of. It's the Holy Grail. Act 3, the resolution. Now, we must look at the current market heat. There is a palpable sense of urgency in the world of coin collecting. People are realizing that the pocket change we take for granted is a repository of history and potential wealth. The rise of online auction platforms like eBay and Heritage Auctions has made the coin market more transparent and accessible than ever before. A dealer or collector can now reach a global audience in seconds, driving up prices for truly special coins. Right now, the demand for high-quality, error-free Jefferson Nickels with full steps is high. Collectors are building high-end sets and are willing to pay a premium for coins that meet their standards. The rising price of copper and nickel in the commodities market also adds a layer of intrinsic value to the coin's metal content, though this is secondary to its numismatic value. There is a sense of heat in the market driven by a new generation of collectors who are using digital tools to spot valuable coins in their pocket change and on auction sites. They are realizing that the path to wealth is not just about stocks and bonds, but about tangible assets with historical significance. The 1987 P nickel is a story of what could be. It's a story of a coin sitting in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. The call to action is simple. Stop, look, examine. Do not spend that 1987 P nickel without first checking it for the signs we have discussed. Get a magnifying glass. Look at the steps on Monticello. Are they full and separate? Look at the letters. Is there any doubling? Look at the surface. Are there any cracks or cuts? This is not a drill. This is a wake-up call. Check your jar right now. Check your change. Check the forgotten bag in your closet. The potential for treasure is there, and it is time to claim it. This is the moment where your future begins, and it starts with a single coin. And if you find a coin that looks promising, do not sell it to a pawn shop or a local dealer. Do your research. Consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That is the only way to authenticate its condition and maximize its value. The auction record for a 1987 P nickel at MS67 condition is only around $329, but an MS68 FS coin has sold for as high as $1,800. The potential for a massive profit is there if you find the perfect combination of factors. There's power in your pocket, and it is time to exercise that power. But this is not the only coin story. It is just the beginning. The world of numismatics is vast and filled with hidden treasures. Imagine a world where you can hold a piece of history in your hands, and that piece of history can change your life. We are just scratching the surface. There's a whole universe of rare and valuable coins waiting to be discovered. In our next episode, we will be exploring another ultra-rare coin that could be hiding in plain sight. A coin with a history so incredible and a value so high, it will make your head spin. So, do not go anywhere. Imagine this. You're standing at a checkout counter. The person in front of you pays with a crumpled dollar bill and a handful of change. You hear the clink of coins on the counter. Among them, a dull, silver-colored nickel. The year on it is 1989. It looks just like any other nickel you have seen 1,000 times. You look at it. You see the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson. You see the image of his home, Monticello. His pocket change. You probably wouldn't even bend over to pick it up if you dropped it. But what if I told you that in the world of high-stakes numismatics, that specific coin, that 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, is a ghost? A phantom that has numismatists and treasure hunters losing sleep. Because while you see a 5-cent piece, the trained eye sees the potential for a life-changing fortune. Today, we are going to uncover the secrets of the 1989 P. Monticello nickel. We are talking about specific, catastrophic mint errors that can send the value of this coin soaring into the stratosphere, with a market value that some experts suggest could be approaching a staggering $792,000. You are about to find out why the coin in your pocket might be the ticket to a lifestyle you have only dreamed of. Welcome back to the channel. Let's start with a moment of brutal honesty. We have all done it. We have all been the spender. We have used a rare coin to buy a soda. We have absent-mindedly tossed a valuable piece of history into a Coinstar machine. It is a feeling that numismatists know all too well. It is the fear, the cold dread that settles in your stomach when you realize you held a fortune in your hand and let it go for a candy bar. It's a moment that separates the casual spender from the astute collector. The spender sees a nickel. The collector sees a potential payday. Right now, I want you to do something. Stop this video, and I mean it. Pause the video, go to your pocket, your wallet, or the jar of loose change on your dresser. Seriously, go. Look at the dates. Look for 1989. Look for the P mint mark just to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. I will wait for you. Welcome back. If you found one, you are holding what is arguably one of the most unassuming and yet potentially valuable modern coins in American history. The 1989 P nickel is a paradox. On one hand, it is incredibly common. The Philadelphia Mint produced nearly 900 million of them that year. You can't walk into a bank and ask for them without getting a dozen. That is where the trap lies. The volume hides the value, because within that sea of 900 million coins, there exists a tiny, microscopic subset that are riddled with catastrophic, multi-million-dollar errors. It is the ultimate needle in a haystack scenario. The difference between a 5-cent piece and a 5-figure payday comes down to the most minute details. It comes down to a few millimeters of metal that were either struck wrong, clipped incorrectly, or show signs of a die that was on its last legs. So, what makes a coin go from being worth a nickel to being a ghost in the market? It's all about the errors. The 1989 P nickel is known for several specific error marks that collectors are hunting aggressively. Let's break down the technical details. You need to know what to look for. The first, and perhaps most visually dramatic, error is the curved clip. This is a mint error where the blank planchet, the metal disc that becomes the coin, was clipped before it was struck. The most notable example of this sold recently for a significant sum. We're talking about a major curved clip, graded MS65, that weighed only 4.01 grams compared to the standard 5 grams. This error coin was part of a specialized collection, and the auction result set a new benchmark for this type of error. The weight is a dead giveaway. If your 1989 P nickel feels light, weigh it. If it's missing a chunk of metal on its edge, you might have struck gold, or rather, struck copper nickel. But that is just the beginning. We're also looking for die breaks and cuts. A die break is exactly what it sounds like. The die that strikes the coin is under extreme pressure, thousands of times a day. Eventually, the die cracks. When that crack fills with metal, it leaves a raised, blob-like area on the coin. If the break is on the edge of the coin, it is called a cud. The 1989 P is known for a cud at the 530 position. This specific error is so well recognized that it is even listed in specialized reference books, like the Cud Book Supplement. If you see a raised, unformed mass of metal on the edge of the coin, don't dismiss it as damage. It might be a listed mint error that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. Next, we move to the strike. The holy grail for Jefferson nickel collectors is the full steps designation. This refers to the steps of Monticello on the reverse. To get this designation, the steps must be completely struck up with no signs of weakness. The standard for full steps is that you can see 5 or 6 distinct horizontal lines on the steps. The 1989 P is famous for weak strikes. It is incredibly difficult to find one with sharp, fully defined steps. If you do, the value jumps exponentially. For example, while a standard uncirculated 1989 P might be worth a few dollars, a full steps specimen graded MS67 has sold for over $1,000. The difference is staggering. You just need to look at the steps. If they are smooth and undefined, you have a common coin. If you see crisp, sharp lines, you need to get that coin graded immediately. Finally, we have the double die. Now, let's be careful here. There's a lot of confusion about double dies. Many people see shelf like doubling on a coin, which is actually machine doubling or strike doubling, and they think they have a fortune. Machine doubling has no numismatic value. It is just a byproduct of strike. True double die errors are the ones that command the big bucks. There's a known listing for a 1989 P double die that is recognized in the hobby with a value estimate of around $45. This is not the same as the machine doubling you might see on a worn coin. You need to look for actual, raised, distinct doubling in the lettering or the date. It is a rare sight, and it is a key indicator that you're holding something much more valuable than a standard business strike. So, what is the potential payoff? Let's talk money. Let's talk about the market heat that is driving this chase. You have a coin that you paid 5 cents for, or perhaps you found it in a roll from the bank. Based on recent auction data, the value spectrum for the 1989 P nickel is wild. At the bottom, you have the coins that are worn down, the ones you spend at the vending machine. They are worth face value, or maybe a few cents above. That is the reality for most of them. However, as you move up the grading scale, the value skyrockets. A perfect, flawless mint state 67 specimen without full step sold for only about $41. But add the full steps designation to a high-grade coin, and the value changes entirely. We have seen high-grade examples sell for $1,380 and $1,140. We have seen others sell for $960 and $748. The difference between the base coin and the premium coin is often just a few points of grade or the presence of that FS designation. But this is where the ghost story gets interesting. There have been whispers. There have been rumors circulating in the dark corners of numismatic forums about a specific 1989 P nickel that breaks the mold. A coin that is not just a full steps or a simple clip, but a combination of errors that makes it truly unique. We are talking about potential valuations approaching $792,000. This isn't just a coin, it is an artifact, a piece of metal that, through a perfect storm of catastrophic mint errors, has become a unicorn. It is the type of coin that makes the news. It is the type of coin that makes the owner a wealthy individual. The market is hot. The major auction houses are watching. The collectors are ready to spend. Here is the call to action. Do you want to be the collector, or do you want to be the spender? The difference is knowledge. Right now, you have a knowledge to spot a ghost. Do not spend that 1989 P nickel. Put it under a microscope. Look at the steps. Are they full? Is there a clip? Is there a cut? Look at the letters. Is there a true double die? If you have any doubts, send it in for grading. The cost of a graded submission is negligible compared to the potential payoff. This is not financial advice, but it is common sense. If you're holding a coin that could be worth more than a luxury car, it's time to take action. The era of pocket change is over. It is time to check your jars, raid your piggy banks, and look at your coins with the eyes of a hawk. Don't let the fear of missing out turn into the regret of having missed out. The hidden wealth is out there. The question is, are you going to find it? As we wrap up this deep dive into the 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel, we want to leave you with a thought. This was just one coin. The world of numismatics is teeming with hidden treasures like this. In our next video, we're going to uncover the story of the king of the mint errors, a coin so rare and so bizarre that its very existence seems like a myth. Think you've seen it all? Just wait. It is a coin that makes this nickel look like pocket change. To ensure you don't miss that piece of history, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Join the hunt.